Hello. Hello. Hey, hi, Arun. Hello. Arun, am I audible? Hello. Hello.
Hello. Yeah. Hi, Apex.
Hi, am I? Okay, okay, you're there. I thought that there is some network congestion from your end. That's why you were not.
Oh, okay.
And
I think.
yeah. Let's wait for Shreya. Hmm?
Okay. No problem.
Hi, Shreya. Hello.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello. Yeah.
Hi, can you
It's
hear me
ready.
now?
Yes, yes. Yeah, Shreya.
Okay, okay. I'm so sorry. I think my this got stuck. Perfect. How's everybody doing?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doing good.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so AK is Arun, I'm guessing.
AK, it's Arun case ready.
Okay, perfect. How are you doing today, Arun?
I'm doing good as yeah. How are you doing?
I'm great as well. Would we be turning our videos on? I would definitely like to see
Okay.
um if that is something that we can do. All right, Apeksha, would you want to stay for the whole session, or do you just want to drop out and recording can still be on? Can one of us record from our side?
No, the recording will be on. It will get ended once the session is done. No worries.
Right, correct. So I'm just saying that would you be on for the whole session? Was my question.
No, no, no. Thank you.
Yeah, you're most welcome. Thank you so much. All right.
Yeah.
Perfect. I see you. How's everything?
Yeah. So far, things going well. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So just give me an idea where you are in the process of the job search.
So I've been laid off like from two companies. Like I'm looking for jobs from like past 4 months. So I've started like Win Cisco from last week. I got to know them and so yeah, I worked on the resume part and now they started the marketing from yesterday. It's quite going well. I do have like a couple of calls like in coming days, like from tomorrow. Yeah, the three calls scheduled and yeah, looking
Okay,
forward.
that's fantastic. And then if I'm looking here and there everywhere, it's just my notes are there. Your resume is here, your LinkedIn is here, but I have full concentration. Um, but then give me an idea, what is your biggest challenge when you talk? So you know that we will be talking about interviewing today, right? Um, what is your biggest challenge when it comes to interviewing in terms of, and it can be anything. It can be nervousness, it can be framing the answer, it can be what questions, it can be how to be that value addition to the company. It can be anything. But you tell me, like, what are your biggest challenges when it comes to interviewing?
So far, sometimes, not all the time, but I get a bit nervous. Uh, yeah, maybe I don't sound like nervous, but I feel like some questions, like if you feel like you can't answer them, or like maybe we also self-judge ourselves, right? Like when we are answering the questions. So maybe I feel like maybe for some questions I feel nervous. And one more thing, like I'm not sure like how I appear like while answering the questions. So like whether I'm a bit usually like you need to maintain a bit of tone, like when to raise pitch your voices, like when to raise your pitch, and or like when to give a smile, or like how to answer the questions based on this. Yeah.
Okay, so I hear a lot of um, soft skill piece of it more than the actual hard skill of like storytelling, which is really good because we can definitely work on nervousness, communication, confidence is what sounded more. Do you want me to be a little louder?
Hello.
Do you want me to be a little louder, or can you hear me?
Yeah. Sometimes it's I'm losing you, so I just got my.
Okay, just let me know if it's not clear. If the message doesn't come across, definitely let me know.
Yeah. Now it's fine. Yeah.
So yeah, I was saying that from your challenges, it sounds more like confidence, voice modulation, communication, more than this actual hard skill piece of it that I don't know what to answer when a question is asked. The
Correct.
biggest problem is you know what to say, you just don't know if that is landing the way it needs to, if that's creating the impact that it needs to.
Correct. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, of course, we'll work around what can be done better. How would you do it better? I'll give you tools to work and practice on it because I know you have something tomorrow. Then it'll still like a very fast-paced learning than it needs to be, which is okay. We'll still work on it. So we'll try doing it that way. I would ask you some questions like a recruiter would usually do. I would make sure to look at your body language, to look at voice modulation that you were talking about, the confidence as a recruiter, how do I perceive you? And in between, I would also not look at you. So, like, avoid the body language, just try understanding the voice because a lot of recruiters would definitely be on call when they'll be speaking to you, right? So, I'll try doing that also.
Yep.
And then I'll give you all the feedback and tools to things and work around. Okay.
Yep.
Most important thing I would ask you to do is, and maybe I would probably again remind you at the very end is like to make a list of questions that you are very comfortable with, to make a list of questions that you have challenges with, so that you can work on that also. Again,
Yep.
you have something tomorrow, so we need to work on something faster. But then when it comes to overall preparation, I still want it to be a continuous process.
Yep. Sounds
Okay.
good.
All right. So let's just do it that way that I will ask questions and then you will answer like you would answer to any recruiter and then we can take it from there. Does that sound okay?
Sure.
Okay, perfect. Hi Arun, how are you doing today?
Hey, hi Shreya. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great as well. What what has been the highlight of your week?
So far this week, nothing much. I'm just heading for the Christmas holidays, like maybe a long weekend. So just planning a vacation, maybe.
Oh, that's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, planning a vacation during holidays sounds really
Great.
good. I feel like everybody should get their downtime, so I'm glad that you are
Mm-hmm.
getting that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Perfect. So why don't we start about, so I have your resume, of course, and I have your LinkedIn, but I would love to know a little bit about yourself. So why don't you, speak a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So myself, I'm Arun Reddy, a skilled workday consultant with around 5 years of experience in the field. I have a proven expertise in working on Workday global rollout and implementation, which includes configuring reports, security, business processes, integrations, data migration, and upgrades across various modules like core HCM, payroll, recruiting, security groups, benefits, compensation, talent and performance, and time tracking. In my recent notable tenure at Sabre, where I contributed to projects involving reports, security, and integrations, my responsibilities included like full cycle of Workday implementation from discovery phase to project planning, designing, developing, testing, and implementing interfaces with internal and external systems. In addition to my technical skills, I possess a deep understanding of software engineering and familiarity with the Workday software development lifecycle. My experience extends to agile project management methodologies, where I've successfully translated user and stakeholder needs into functional requirements for project success. Yeah. Apart from this, I hold a master's degree in business analytics from University of North Texas and a bachelor's in electronics and instrumentation engineering from Jawaharlal Nehru Technology University, Hyderabad, India. Throughout my academic journey, I've undertaken various projects demonstrating my ability to apply skills in real world scenarios. yeah, this brief of my
Okay, that's great. Thank
introduction.
you so much. Yeah, no, thank you so much for giving me the idea. And I can only understand that talking about 5 years of your work experience within 3 minutes can be difficult. So thank you for that. Just give me an idea. What was the last project that you were working on, and then what were your biggest challenges during that project?
So with Sabre, I've been part of the implementation phase. They actually you like legacy system was success factors, and they moved to Workday, like they implemented Workday. So as part of the implementation stage, like configuring the reports or like configuring the business process, and later the most critical part was while they were implementing the production, when the Workday went into live sometime in October last year. So that phase, like there were severity tickets, like P1, P2 tickets, where actually we worked together. All like we were support for all 24 hours. We don't know like what issue might rise. So that was a bit challenging so far in the journey with Sabre.
Okay. And then if you would still a part of the project, what you would have done differently to either solve the challenge or to work on that better or to make sure that it was not affecting the overall effectiveness of the project?
So firstly, you're saying about the challenge, right? How
About
you
the
work
project.
on that?
Correct,
Correct.
correct.
Yeah.
About the project.
So definitely, we do have a release cycle for every week. So we actually segregate the tickets based on their severity and uh, hasten our work based on the severity. First, like the more severity, the priority is given to that tickets, and uh, we interact with the users to know more keenly about the requirement, like or more keenly about the issues, and it's a two-end process. Like until we get in understanding, like whether the issue can be resolved, like in a more accurate way. So that way, again, we go on implementing like depending on that, we develop in the lower tenants, and it's a cycle. Like everything goes within phases, and there's also a peer review and approvals from the peers, and later it goes into the production. So everything is organized a bit. So that way, if at all any problem occurs, definitely there'll be some point like you'll definitely come to know there's an issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's a great answer. And then just give me an idea if you had to stay updated on the latest Workday features because that's where you work last. Um, how how do you stay updated? And then can you give me some examples of any of these new knowledge or features that which you've worked on improving the process for?
So usually a workday has two release cycles every 6 months. So definitely workday will provide all the upgrades. So the better way is to go into their release and know about the upgrades. And other thing is the workday community. It's the most best way to get any questions or like anything you want. You can go directly there and search, and you will definitely find most of the relevant answers like from the community, like other users like who have faced those issues. They can post their issues and like how they have resolved those issues. And apart from that, it's about like as a team, we work as a team. So definitely as a team, there are other colleagues as well, like who help in any of the situations, like if we are facing some challenges.
Okay, all right. That's a great way to put it. Thank you. And then if you if you see if you're a part of a project and if you see a colleague underperforming, not serving or doing their own parts, missing the deadlines, how do you have you ever experienced this? And then if you didn't, if you experience that in the future, how are you going to resolve that or work on it?
So definitely, there are some instances like we face like missing the deadline, like because of the severity. Sometimes our duration of like to resolve the issues or like made we might miss the deadline. So definitely we have to reach out the user and let them they might not have an idea of the technical issues like we face as a developer. So making them understand of the things more clearly, like what actually is going wrong here, and how long it more takes, like time it takes, and then after sitting out with the team and like try to push it and resolve the issues.
Okay. Okay. So you're saying that you've never experienced it, but you've experienced it and you can't think of an example?
So so far I didn't have like that great challenge, but definitely in future if I get it, I'll use the same thing, like reaching to the user and explaining them about the critical nature of the issue, and making them understand and working together. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's a great way to put it, of course. And then what happens? Yeah. Okay. What happens when you miss a deadline because of something that you did in a project? How do you approach that situation with your manager, with yourself, and with the other colleagues?
So yeah, definitely it's hard to miss a deadline. Uh, so first thing is sit together and let them know like what the challenges I faced, and where it's pulling me back to solve the issue, or like any challenge I'm facing, or like to miss the deadline. So from there on, like working on like with other teammates, or like taking help of the manager or the other colleagues, and trying to sit together and like maybe resolve an issue uh, to resolve it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Sounds good. And then if you had to, and then you can bring it any of the examples from the past, or you can create one because I would really like to hear a scenario more. Describe a situation when you had to like customize or config a complex situation or a complex feature in Workday, and then what was your process from start to the end?
Okay. So there was one requirement from SAP for a report from the Workday to integrate with the SAP S4 HANA. So their requirement initially it looked a bit simple. It was only the changes from the Workday to have been should be sent to S4, but as work started, like it became a bit complex than we expected. Since some changes definitely it were not that easy to implement or develop in the Workday. So we actually uh, uh, did the development so far, like what can be done in the best way in the Workday, and try to do workarounds using other systems, and therefore later on it helped them as well, like to integrate with the SAP. So yeah, because at the requirement stage, definitely it sounded like it can be implemented completely through Workday, but later on by developing the report, so we saw like some challenges. We can't implement through Workday, so we used other systems and like a workaround and help them to do integrate with the SAP.
And then tell me, if you have multiple projects going on at the same time, how do you manage it? How do you prioritize? Um, yeah, like talk about your work around that.
First thing, uh, to divide the time. Definitely, even though we uh, set some points for two projects, there may be some conflict between those projects. Like we have to be available in project, and there's some work left in the other projects. So maybe uh, speaking to the people over there, and uh, making them understand like my situations, and maybe working in extra bit with the project that need me most, and later on after finishing the issues and coming back to the other project.
Okay, all right. Perfect. Do you have any questions for me?
So I would like to know more about the company, the culture of the company. And what kind of challenges like any I'm gonna face in the new company.
All right. Definitely great questions. Okay, so we'll stop it here and then we'll go back to whatever
Sure.
we and I kind of made notes of what questions we asked, how are you answering, and then we'll go about it. So when
Okay.
anybody asks you what questions do you have for me, you can't ask all three questions together. The first three about the company, the culture, and what challenges would you have. I can't answer all three together. So I would probably suggest asking that, yeah, I would love to know what are the challenges that I would be working on, or what are the projects or problems that I would be solving once I take up this role. Or
Okay.
second, what is about the company or the culture that you really love, or what is your favorite part about the company or the culture? One, making a little personalized would be great because then they would give you a lot more information than just it.
Correct.
Second, take your questions in the sense that really matters to you. So if company matters more, ask about the company and the culture. If role matters more, then ask about the role. And have a very direct and one question. Don't have like multiple questions.
Fine.
I know this is recorded, so I don't know if you can go back to it and watch it, or do you want to take notes? That's
Yeah.
absolutely. Then the second last question. Okay, let's just start with the first question because I think I like that. So the first question was, tell me about yourself, right? When you started with who you are, what work and what skills you have. I loved that, but I would have also wanted to hear a little bit individually about your work experiences in terms of that I worked with this. This was my last company. This is what I did, and this was a position that I held. Then before that, I have worked with this company. This is a position that I held, and this is all the work that I did. Right now, what you did is you made a generic answer of who you are, what are the skills, and what kind of projects that you've worked on. Of course, not a wrong approach, great approach, but it didn't give me a clear idea of who you were from today until the day you started actually working.
Okay.
So that order is really good because then that kind of walks me through the whole resume and that gives me, a clear idea of who you are. So you can be like, oh, my last project in my last company was this. I worked as this, the title, and my major project was this. Then before that, for a couple of years, I worked with this company. My title was this, and um, my important project or the highlights of the accomplishments were this. Why? Because then you're touching each work experience and then you're giving them a clear idea of who you are as a professional. Again,
Cool.
whatever you did wasn't wrong. We're just refining it to a better process.
Okay. Like being more specific into the individual like the projects or like the companies.
Correct, correct. And then right now I know that I can see that, you've been with Workday for a while and then you have different clients, right? So you would probably say that I've been with Workday from this to this, but then I've worked with multiple clients, and then individually you can talk about clients and their projects. And again, remember about confidentiality. If you can't share something, don't share and say like, "Oh, this was a piece of confidentiality. I can't share more." Don't share. Don't start about anything that you can't share.
Cool.
And then I think you talked about doing your master's at the very end, and then you also spoke about your bachelor's, right? I would probably not suggest that. So, where once you speak about the work experience, you can also be like, and I also completed my master's from this university in 2022. But then I have been doing that with the work or without work. So, give me an idea. When you were doing your master's, were you also working full time?
Yes. So I mean, dates are different, but yeah, I did as per my resume, like I do have like worked while during my masters.
Yes, because that is a question that they can ask if they want to
Yeah.
ask. You need to be very prepared for it because I'm asking and I want to see if you're prepared for it, which you're not, because they would probably ask that question and you need to
Okay.
have a follow up more than a yes. So you can be like, yes, I was a full time.
Yes, I was full time. Like, yeah, I do have an answer, but I just explain. I thought of explaining you like why it
Oh,
was.
sorry. Yes, go ahead then. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
So,
Then go ahead.
since I have an experience with Workday prior to my masters, so I immediately like after finishing my semester during the break, I started applying to various positions, and I got selected with Amazon and started working there as a the consultant, primarily in the integrations part. Even though it was for first 6 months, it was 20-hour work due to my constraints with my status. Later, I did most of it like 40-hour work, but on paper it was only 20-hour. Later, I was doing my 40-hour work after
Like,
finishing my 9 months. Yeah.
yes, so definitely do mention that even during my masters, I was continuing working with Amazon and other different companies as a workday consultant. And as per the need of the visa or the logistics, I shifted from 20 to 40 hours depending on what I could do in the moment. So definitely mention that because some of the recruiters can have this question.
Correct.
But again, you don't have to proactively mention it. But if they ask, definitely mention that 20 and 40, and then you know that
Yeah.
the visa was taken into consideration.
Yeah.
And then right now you're on what visa?
I'm on STEM OPT.
Okay, and STEM. Okay, and then how many days do you have to more to get the job?
So I do have like since I didn't file any unemployment as of now, so I can be unemployed for like 150 days. So
So you have time to figure
yeah,
this out.
time this time. Yeah.
Okay, okay, all right. Okay, and then the next question. Okay, so yes, so I said that you probably want to talk a little bit more about your work as well. So when you say tell me about yourself, the answer needs to be anywhere from 2 minutes to 3.5 minutes is what I would say. In your case, it can be closer to 3 minutes because you do have work experience. So start with who you are, what do you do in general, and then the skills and the skills and the applications that you were talking about. I like that part. And then at the end, go about individually one specific projects from each company. And then at the end, I also just completed my master's in 2022 from this. And then during my master's also, I was working with all of these companies and clients. Depending on the need of the visa, it was 20 or 40.
Yeah.
And when you ended, I think you ended in a sense that, oh, this is all I ever had to share, right? I would probably love if you had more confidence in terms of, this is my professional journey. I would love to see what follow-up questions do you have. So that opens up the conversation rather than you full stopping and you're like, I don't know what else to say.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That's awkward. I'll talk more about the voice and the confidence, everything at the end. I definitely want to talk a little bit more about storytelling and interview questions and answers. Okay. Then the next question was, what was your last project and tell a bit about your challenges, correct?
Right.
Um, what I liked was there was a clear idea of what you were talking about in your mind because then you were not hesitating, you were not um, buffering as you would usually do. But what I didn't get as a recruiter, as someone who was not a part of the project, is what was it?
Okay. It's
I
like,
didn't hear the challenge. Like I didn't hear what exactly was the challenge and then how. So for me, it was not engaging as a recruiter. So I think in between, I stopped hearing because I was like, okay, I get that, but I don't hear this, I don't hear that. Then I went into my thought of, oh, I want to hear specific keywords, which should never happen if you're speaking to someone. They should not be thinking about an expected answer. They should be loving your answer, right? So whenever anybody asks you any behavioral question, any that means any situational based question, you always serve them with a situation. I tried prompting you for a situation more than three questions. I did not get a situation, and that's why at the end I told you that even if you don't have an example, create an example,
correct.
right?
So yeah, definitely I got it. Like after that also you pose like two more questions, but
Yes.
actually I didn't prepare. I didn't get in mind. I do have like two, three, maybe definitely I
I'm
have to.
sure, I'm sure. That's the idea. And then we want you to prepare for this ambiguity rather than preparing you for, oh, this is you and this would come in the interview because interview is always very uncertain. So in your mind, you should be prepared for that ambiguity that they can ask anything and everything, and I need to be prepared. So for that, follow. People have said about star method, Carl method, everything. I'll want you to follow the Carl method, which is the context, action, result, and your learning. Because then, if I'm speaking to someone, I want them to also speak about what are they learning through the process, right? So when you spoke about the challenging wala thing, I did not hear stakeholder once. None of the stakeholders were mentioned. So it felt like that you and your team were working in silos.
Okay. Actually,
Um,
I used user, but stakeholder would be a better term
yes,
actually.
yes. So I heard users, but then there needs to be
Yes.
more than that, right? And not just I'm not saying that don't use user,
Yes. Yes.
but um, try making it like a whole scenario of the project and then the challenges because the question specifically was for the challenge,
Right.
right? Okay. The third question was how do you stay updated on the latest workday features and updates, and then how do you do it? I think you did great, um, because then you mentioned everything, and then you mentioned about asking from the colleagues, and then how do you have this whole resource platform and everything. I kind of like that. What I would have loved to hear is how does that help in saving time, or how does that help in creating more connections within the company, because else you wouldn't have spoken to them individually. So I think you can always open up by saying that this community features also kind of let me speak with other people that I don't get to speak on a daily basis. What am I judging here is your thought process of connecting with other people, but then also your idea of that there is a resource in the company that's provided. How do you utilize that? These are very smaller things that actually helps a hiring manager or recruiter to create that difference between those two best
Perfect.
candidates, right?
Yeah.
So whenever you speak about something that is a company provided resource, you always speak about in the sense that how it motivates you to do better, be a better candidate, be a better employee, and how. Okay, then the next question was, talk a bit about a colleague underperforming and how did it affect you? How do you remember? How did you do in the question?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, yeah. So the question was
Is-
what the the situation when a colleague underperforms. That question.
oh, that one. I guess I didn't do that well. Definitely. Uh, Maybe one point I think sitting with the manager and like where I can definitely improve myself or like I mentioned that point, but apart from that, I couldn't get anything more.
Yes, but there were two questions. One was a colleague underperforming, and then second were you missing a deadline. So you're mixing both of them, which is okay, which is sounded similar, but because I wanted an example out of you, I created a scenario more. So the one was a colleague underperforming, and how do you handle that? In that also, I think the very same thing that there was no example, and I couldn't relate to anything and everything that you were saying because it was very generic for me in my mind, right?
Okay.
So any behavioral question, as soon as they say that, have you ever been in a situation? It does not matter, Arun, if you've not been in the situation, you create that situation and give it to them. Full
Correct.
stop. That's the only way to go about a behavioral is like have that situation in your mind and give it to them right away. And then I think your speech is good in terms of where your language is okay, you know what you're saying, you're not buffering. So you can create those scenarios. Only thing it'll need practice a little bit in the back end that you need to do.
Yeah.
Another thing, yes, was you missing a deadline. Again, I did not get any example, which I would have loved to receive because all of us have missed that. I have missed multiple. I mean, when Apeksha would watch it and she's like, what is she talking about? She's missed hundreds of those. But just create it.
Yeah,
I
it is.
love that you spoke about communication. I love that you spoke about speaking to the colleagues and figuring out how are we going to take about it. I did not hear any reporting or documentation. I did not hear anything about the data that you missing the deadline was affecting this many users or would have affected this many of much of the revenue. I heard no quantifiable data in your whole 20 minutes of conversation,
Yeah.
right? So another piece definitely would be involve the impact, the good impact that because you did this, you saved this much money, you created this much forecasting or whatever. And then the second would be, oh, because I did this, this many users were affected in a good sense. The company created this much profit. We always talk about that in resume, but then just casually throw it out there in your conversation also that,
Yeah.
oh, me missing a deadline would have affected this, so I'm so glad I caught it early. So then we were saved, and then this many users were not impacted. Another was describe a situation where you had to customize or configure a complex feature in Workday, what specific steps did you take and what was the outcome? I don't think I asked the whole question, but that was a question. Do you remember your answer? Do you remember what you said?
Yes, so I remember like there's something from the system like an integration. They need me to like our team to develop a custom report. So since there are constraints with the workday, like we use the workaround, like whatever we could do with workday, we did implement them and use the workaround with other system and help them to integrate. Yeah.
Okay. Now, in my mind, I don't know which company is that. I
Right.
don't know who they are in this situation. You just say that, oh, the other team, but who is that other team? Who are the stakeholders? Who are
Mentioning
the
that.
they? Again, you think that you don't want to speak a lot about it, but you do. Honestly, every answer needs to be at least 2 minutes. If it's shorter than that, that means understand that you haven't followed the CAL process. You haven't given them the whole picture of the situation. If they don't see the whole picture, they won't see who Arun was in this whole situation. They need to see. So one thing is telling them the whole situation, the project, blah, 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 but then also who you were in the whole thing. If you were taken out of that project and the situation, you have to prove it to them that this would have crumbled. I was a star. My team was a star, right? You really need to. If you are not doing it, if you're being modest, they're going to be extra modest with you and not take you. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I've specifically written that I don't even know which company, what role, and what are you talking about. Like literally, these are my notes right now.
Great. Yes.
And it's not a good way to, that's definitely not a good.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you handle when you have too many projects going? Time management ke alawa, what did you say? Tell me that.
So first thing is like definitely if at all it's a sprint, like you would have divide the points between the projects and choosing like where my ability like any severity in the projects need me most. I would be prioritizing based on the severity. Yes.
Okay. That's a 30-second for me.
Oh, that
I
is
That's
okay.
30 second. I That's 30 seconds, and I know that that probably is less than 30 seconds. But I would get that answer from a college student. I'll probably get that answer from my niece also. That if I'll tell her she's 8, if I'll tell her that how you have 15 homework, how are you gonna do it? She's like, oh, I'm just gonna divide time. I'm just gonna figure out what do I have to submit tomorrow. So deadline, priority, time management. Yes, I want to hear it from someone who has 5 years of experience in the industry, who's done a master's from US. Now define it again. Just just take 1 minute. I'll give you 1 minute.
Okay.
Bring it all the professional energy that you have. Bring in that, oh, this is Arun speaking who's done so much work. Bring it for me.
I'm ready. So depending on the scope of the projects, or like uh, finding which projects needs me more. Definitely, my location would be like my. I would work to that project and like work on my first priority would be working on the project. So for that, definitely in a day-to-day basis, like definitely you have like meetings scheduled. So depending on like what kind of meetings, like do they really need me, or like do they really need me to available in the meeting, or like can I skip the meeting by speaking with the stakeholders like who are in the meetings, and try to avoid them and use that time in development or like working on the implementation of the project. And second part would be going a bit extra mile, or like working an extra hour depending on the severity, or like maybe I can use compensate it using in other days, or like ask the manager like since I've did an extra work, like maybe compensation on the other days. Yeah, I would definitely use this and work on the project.
Okay, all right, perfect. How long did you think you spoke for?
Maybe 20 to 30 seconds.
Oh no, that it is definitely better. It was 1 minute and 5 seconds or something, which is
Okay.
good, definitely. Two things that came to my mind when you were speaking, I'm paraphrasing. One is you'll prioritize, two, you'll value your time, and then find where you're not needed, and then utilize it in something else that you need it for, right?
Yes.
Um, Definitely good. I would never ask for that. I would work more today and ask for compensation later.
Shouldn't.
Why? I'll
Okay.
tell you. That kind of looks like you're inefficient in what you've been given and working on. Or you're trying to give an idea that your manager has overloaded you with work and now you want a day off because of all the work you did. Again, not as a person, but if someone in the company would be hearing this, would definitely take it that way. So nothing about overworking or asking for a compensation, but definitely yes about prioritizing it all. I would also want you to say something like this, okay? So that's a great question. And I know all of us have been overburdened with projects and work, and all of us work with multiple projects at the same time. What really works well with me is creating a documentation of how many hours I'm spending on a specific project and presenting that in front of my manager alongside with the stakeholders in terms of meetings, in terms of reporting, in terms of updating the features and all. I also like prioritizing according to the deadline because then we know what is that we have to launch and offer first. And I also want to look into if my work is dependable or is someone else waiting for my work. If I'm the deadlock, then I'll probably do that first so that project can keep on running. And if someone else is deadlocking mine, I would probably go about and nudge them as well. When all of this is happening, I also want to keep an idea of if this is something that is within my profile, within my project. Because if it's not that, and if I'm overburdened, I would definitely want to speak with my manager that what they can offload if I'm not giving the best quality of the work that I need to. Has happened in the past. I would love to share an example if that is something that would give more clarity. Now, what did I do is I created four different positions in my own mind, right? I segregated them, four situations that I want to talk about, and then explained one or two lines. Like, you know how you write in the resume a work and then five bullet points. So make
Right.
sure that where you don't want to give a situation, like the Carl method, the context, action, result, and learning, if you don't want to give that, have 5 points ready, 3 points ready in your mind, and explain them a little bit in depth, like I just did. Like, I would speak to the manager that if they can offload something, making sure that everything that I'm doing is within my job profile, is within the responsibilities that I need to take care of in this position. Um, why does that matter? Why do you think that really matters? How do you answer a behavioral question? Why do you think like people even have you're an analyst, right? Like you do, or like you are a professional. Why do they care about soft skills?
Like getting more insight on another kind of person, like they're recruiting, or like knowing his behavioral pattern, like what kind of capability he brings into the company, or like how professional he's getting.
Yes, and also how would you fit in the whole company culture that you were talking about, right? Because you know how when we bring someone in the family, we're like, कुछ vibe match नहीं हो रहा है. We always say that, right? If you bring a
Right.
girlfriend, if you bring a boyfriend, if you bring someone in the home and they're like, कि, dude, they were so cool, bring them back, or they were not so cool, don't bring them back. It's this vibe match, and recruiters need to do it because then they understand that the hiring manager would take us. Now, as in candidate, how would you know what's their vibe, right? That's so stupid. How would I know what's their vibe? The best thing is to present yourself in a manner where you are very dedicated to learn, but then also you have learned enough and then you have no shame in boasting about it. Yeah.
Right.
Again, in Indian culture, bragging is a bad thing. I get that. But it's not a bad thing because you are the only one bragging about your work. There's no one else in the world bragging right now about you. Right? You, and then, of course, the the people who are helping you right now. They are the
Yeah.
only two people who will be bragging. So don't be ashamed of bragging about it. Okay, what was yeah, I think those were the only questions. Okay, now I'm gonna do that, which I love. I'm gonna ask a couple of these questions again, and I'm gonna see if whatever we spoke about kind of landed well on you. Again, it's on the spot. It's okay, I'm not gonna judge, but I'm just gonna see if if you understood the idea that we are trying to create here. And then once we're done, I'll give you a document, and you're in the US timing, which is great. I'll give you a document. Try practicing those things, which would probably help you for tomorrow as well. And I know it's just tomorrow, so you can't do like magical stuff, but definitely smaller stuff, which is going to help you intensely tomorrow at least. Okay. Arun, can you talk a little bit more about a colleague underperforming and how that affected you as a colleague, or how did that affect you all as a team?
So there was a situation with my current client with Saver. So here there was a critical report that need to be delivered du- during a specific deadline was given, and he was assigned to work on that. But with his situation, he didn't deliver it to the time. So definitely the manager has reached him, and since it's critical report, like there were many stakeholders involved in that the end report. Uh, it was specifically to mention it's a time tracking report, like uh, creating a report on all the time blocks of the individual employees. So this was not finished as expected. Then after, since it's severe report, we came together depending on the severity. We all room together and put our given like helped him get the report delivered as expected. Later, the manager has sit with him and ask the questions like why it was not delivered as expected. So yeah, there was a conversation with them, and later it was documented, and uh, it really helped the documentation, like what are the scenarios, or like what are the, if we face those situations, like what's kind of protocol we follow. The documentation really helped us.
That's really great. And then how does that affect you as a colleague?
Since there were other deadlines given to us, since and it was unexpected, we were doing our own work, like as a team. We actually divide our work depending on the tickets. So suddenly we have to put our work, and just to satisfy the end stakeholder, we have to come together and maybe giving our time, setting our particular issues aside and sitting on this. This affected a bit, but we covered it later on uh, uh, with the help of the team members. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. And then can you talk about a situation where you had to customize or config a complex feature in Workday, and then what step did you take? Like, talk to me about the process.
So we do have like multiple teams, like the integration team. Usually we call it as a global business systems integration team, and ours is a reporting and security team in the Workday. So the GBS team, actually they had a requirement for an integration that needs send data from Workday to SAP S/4HANA. So they put as a requirement with developing a custom report from Workday, uh, which they used as an initial step to integrate with the integration team uses to integrate with the SAP system. So initially, as per the requirement, it was achievable in the workday, but we faced challenges like while developing the report. As we go on developing it, we find some challenges that can't be implemented within the workday due to the restrictions the workday as a tool has. So we used a few workarounds with other systems like uh, what we say Microsoft Excel, or other tools, and we as a team worked on workaround and later delivered the report as they expected as per the requirements. So my major role in this whole project was I was the middleman, like understanding the requirements and guiding my team members, like helping them, like what was the expectations from the GBS team, and uh, kind of uh, uh, kind of middleman thing, working on the requirements, making them understand the requirements, and so far, like we ended up with a good result, like satisfying them.
Okay, that's really good. Okay, perfect. Both the answers were, so this one was 1 minute 45, the other one was 2.5 minutes, which was great because I had a follow-up question. Um, how did you feel about it in comparison to what we did earlier?
Comparatively better, but uh, I feel with the second question, I could be more confident in
Yes.
in
And
answering.
rather than telling yourself a middleman, I'll probably call you the point of
Yes,
contact for the team or the
yeah,
SME or
he was
something.
primary contact. I couldn't
Yes,
find words with the short.
I
Yeah,
get
yeah.
that. And
I
I
got
could and
while
I could
telling itself,
look,
I'm not sure, but I have used it. Yeah, sure.
and I could hear you in in your voice you were not confident, and I could hear you
Yes,
saying that. But yes, and again, that comes with practice because then it doesn't look like you are performing on the spot in front of the recruiter, right? That's why I said that you need to have multiple scenarios in your mind ready before you speak with them, and then just mix and match, like put anything anywhere, kind of.
yes,
Um, for the first one, I really liked what you spoke that there was a situation, there was manager involved and whatnot, and then I like that you were honest about that. Of course, if someone is underperforming, then it gives a lot of load to you and the other teammates. So I think that answer was solid. Now coming to speech modulation, right? Okay. With the questions, we have an idea that whenever they ask a behavioral question, make sure that the card method is followed or a proper structure is followed. You are not you're running horses in your mind. You can't do that in your speech. All of this can't be seen here.
right.
Second, if you don't want to give an example, which is absolutely fine, not every question needs to have an example. Make sure you create 4 bullet points in your mind and explain each individually, one sentence at a time. So, very structured answer. And then, if you have a follow up question, and I liked, and I think I forgot to mention that in the beginning, in one of the questions I asked, and you asked a follow up question, clarifying if that is what was my question. I love that part. Always clarify, take a pause, and start answering rather than answering just the wrong thing. Um, Absolutely no marks for answering it fast. It's always the marks for answering it right. Right. So take a pause, breathe, write down whatever you need to do, and always remember to answer as many questions as they ask. So if they have asked, what was the project? What was the challenges? What did you learn? You need to remember all three and answer all three. They should not be asking it again at all. Okay. Okay. Now the speech part of it. I think you use a lot of filler words, which is What I want you to practice is close your mouth when you have coming out. Just close your mouth. Nothing would come out. And practice it every day, not just when you're speaking to someone. When you're speaking to yourself, also when you're speaking to family member, also in Hindi, English, regional language, whatever you're speaking, do not let the come out at all. If you have someone in your house living with you, tell them that "Yeah, I'm trying to work on my filler words. Give me a gaze when I do that filler word. Like, don't cut me off, of course, because then it'll be a fight. Don't cut me off, but give me a gaze. Okay, because I think that's the biggest thing that came to me. You have that filler word. You'll watch the recording, you would know what I'm talking.
Yep.
Um, Second is look in the camera. Do not look at me. Look in the camera. Why? Two things would happen. One, you'll think you're talking to yourself. There is nobody. Second, you would not worry about how am I reacting to your answer. Right? So as soon as I will like, or I'll be like, then you'll be like, oh, is she confused? What did I say? Right? You don't have to worry about that. Whatever you're saying, you're just saying it, say it with full confidence. So try looking in the camera
Okay.
sometimes in between, so that will that will create more engagement. I would want you to keep your laptop a little bit higher, maybe 2 inches, just the laptop. So then there is an eye contact. So like, look, mine is a little higher, right? It looks a little higher, right? That's purposefully it's higher because I need more space in my table. But that's higher, not an ideal thing. But I'm not interviewing, so I'm sorted. But if you need, yeah, this looks so much better. and I haven't seen your hands. Show me your hands. Yes. So when you're talking, I want to see your hands.
Yeah,
Why?
kind of.
Then it looks like you interacting and then you're not fidgeting.
Yes.
And if you're fidgeting, that means you're letting your body and your brain believe that this is a nervous situation, which it's not. And if you can't think of anything, just create this and keep it here. And then just move it a little bit and then right. For people like me who move it a lot, I have to keep it down because then I move a lot and there's a hand dancing here. We can't do that, of course. But then just keep it here. But do not do this.
Yeah.
Please don't do all of these things because that would show the nervousness. Okay, so just keep it
Yeah.
like this, and that's why I said open fingers because then you can't entangle them.
Yeah.
Okay, but I want to see your hands. Like I want interviewer and a recruiter to see your hands because that gives a little bit more confidence. Um, yes to voice modulation piece of it. You have a same tone of voice. You think you're sounding calm. You're not nervous, but what you're sounding is monotonous, right? What you can do is in the beginning, start with like a higher pitch. Like, yeah, that's a great question. And you do not have to include the personality I'm including because that's my personality. But you can be like, yeah, that's a great question. I do have an example about it and I would love to talk about it. Take a pause and then go back to speaking. If you don't know how to increase and decrease the voice modulation, the best thing to start with is take a pause between two sentences and then start with the next. That kind of creates that suspense, but then also kind of gives the other person an idea that, oh, there's something important coming up the next, right? Don't make the pause a little longer because then they'll think, oh, khatam ho gaya. That we can't do that either, right? That it's not done.
Right.
Uh, yes, that would be my suggestions. We have 2 minutes. What questions do you have?
So, firstly, if at all, I prepared some note of like giving a brief for myself, like and introducing myself. Like, can I see it and say, should I prepare it in from my mind and like have to talk with
Yes,
randomly?
I would say practice it multiple times.
Okay.
Wow. Give me 1 second.
Or sometimes like any kind of technical question, like sometimes we can definitely Google it. Maybe not them knowing it like where we are doing that. So can we like stare at the screen and like look at the answer? Is it a good way? Just
I would say yes or no both. So look at the screen to take the cue, but do not read from it because then they would know you're reading from it. One, you have glasses, so I can see what you're doing on the screen, right? That's pretty clear. Second is if I see you reading, then I would know that you're reading. If you're just looking at a cue and then replying it, that's totally fine because we're only humans. We need that reminder. But do not read from it. And then that was going to be my to do for you. If you have a script already, um, let's do it that way. Keep your phone on recording. Record once you're done with this. Keep your phone on recording. Read the script multiple times from it, and then see what you're doing. You know, look at your body language, look at your expressions, look at your voice modulation, everything, and then record again while without reading, and then see that. You will see that how natural it sounds when you're not reading through the script. This
right.
is also letting you know that how the other person might be perceiving you if you record yourself. Do you usually record yourself when you're practicing something?
Sorry.
Do you
You
record yourself when you're practicing something?
no, not actually. Yeah.
Okay, so I want you to do that. Um, keep your phone here in front of you, somewhere your camera is. Um, keep it. Do not keep it on the selfie mode because then you'll be very conscious ki it's recording. Just
Yeah.
keep it on the back camera mode. Record the whole thing, and then look at it. Both the versions, one scripted, one when you're saying it from your own face, from your own mind, and then see the difference. Look at everything, your body language, voice modulation, the filler word that I'm talking about, and then how confidently, and then your hand gesture, everything. Just do everything for me. Okay, that's done. Keep it aside. Now for tomorrow when you're practicing your interview, make sure that you're practicing in front of a mirror. Just go practice, say all your answers, ask the question to yourself and start answering in front. Again, look at the body language, look at the eyes, look at how nervous you are. Are you shaking? Are you like flickering and all of those? Why? because then you'll be comfortable speaking in front of another individual, which we usually don't do in a normal setup.
Right.
Right? Those would be my two biggest tools. And if you practice, I've had all my clients come up with like huge difference in communication. And that would really help you. So try. And I practice that every day.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then I'll be available, of course, through emails, through WhatsApp. So let me know what questions or concerns you might have. I would share a couple of documents with you. You have something tomorrow, so I don't expect you to do it tomorrow
Okay.
itself, but then I'll give you a deadline of like what looks like and kind of a to do for you for continued practice.
Sure. Yeah.
Do you have anything else for me?
Yeah, it was a great interaction. Nice talking to you. Definitely a lot to learn. Definitely it's gonna help me tomorrow, for sure. With some answers like how to answer them. Yeah.
Yeah,
For
no,
sure.
I'm glad that this is helpful. And then, I mean, keep practicing and good luck to you. And then connect with me on LinkedIn so there are like more resources and anything else that you might need help with. Yeah.
Thank you. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
All
Good
right.
luck. Bye.
Thank you.